Welcome to Saints of the Day, where we journey through the lives of the holy men and women the Church remembers daily. These saints are not just distant figures but living witnesses whose story guides us even now. Today, September 21st, we celebrate one of the 12 apostles of Christ, a man called from tax collector's booth to become a herald of the gospel, Saint Matthew, Apostle and Evangelist. Saint Matthew, also known as Levi, lived in the 1st century AD in Capernaum, a busy town by the Sea of Galilee. He worked as a tax collector for the Roman authorities, a profession despised by the Jewish people. Tax collectors were seen as collaborators with the enemy and often accused of dishonesty and greed. For this reason, Matthew would have been considered an outcast by his own people, someone unworthy of friendship or respect. Yet it was precisely to such a man that Jesus extended his hand of mercy. The Gospel tells us that as Jesus passed by, he saw Matthew sitting at the custom post and simply said, "Follow me." Without hesitation, Matthew rose and left everything behind. In that moment, his life was forever changed. The sinner became a disciple. The outcast became an apostle. After his call, Matthew hosted a banquet for Jesus at his house, where many tax collectors and sinners gathered. When the Pharisees criticized this, Jesus answered with words that echo through the centuries, "I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." This scene reminds us that God's mercy is not reserved for the perfect, but freely given to all who are willing to follow him. As one of the 12 apostles, Matthew accompanied Jesus throughout his public ministry. He witnessed the miracles, listened to the parables, and saw the Lord's passion, death, and resurrection. After Pentecost, Matthew went forth to preach the gospel. Tradition holds that he first evangelized in Judea before traveling to distant lands, possibly Ethiopia or Persia, proclaiming Christ to those who had never heard his name. Saint Matthew is also honored as the author of the first gospel in the New Testament, written around 70 AD. His gospel was addressed to Jewish Christians, showing how Jesus was the fulfillment of the Old Testament prophecies. Through his writings, Matthew gave the church a lasting treasure: the Beatitudes, the Lord's Prayer, and the command to go and make disciples of all nations. His gospel continues to form the foundation of Christian teaching today. Tradition tells us that Matthew sealed his witness with his blood, dying as a martyr for Christ. Though details of his martyrdom remain uncertain, what is certain is that the man who once lived for money ended his life living for God. As one of the original apostles, Matthew was venerated as a saint from the earliest days of the church. His relics are believed to rest in the Cathedral of Salerno, Italy. He is honored as the patron saint of bankers, accountants, and tax collectors. A powerful reminder that no occupation or background is beyond reach of God's mercy. The life of Saint Matthew challenges us to see ourselves in his story. Many of us have parts of our lives we are not proud of, sins, failures, or weaknesses. Yet, Christ calls us not because we are perfect, but because he loves us. Matthew responded with courage, leaving behind wealth and status to follow the Lord. His example reminds us that true riches are found not in possession, but in God's mercy and in the mission to share the gospel. That was today's journey into the life of the church through her saints. On this feast day of Saint Matthew the Apostle, may we remember that God's call can transform even the most unlikely of lives. May his prayer inspire us to follow Christ wholeheartedly. Join me tomorrow as we walk with the saint of the day. Saint Matthew, Apostle and Evangelist, pray for us.